Hey, Cal, give us that rendition again very quickly.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my darling. Hello, my good time girl.
Hello, Callum. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Woody.
Yeah, you got a spring in your step, but it's not because you won at the races. You actually put a bit of a blind punt on and lost, didn't you?
I did. I backed C Night because of the name, and it was a total nag. It didn't do anything. Didn't even appear on the TV, as far as I could see.
Well, the reason why I bring it up is because obviously you're the small cap guy. You're focused on the small cap sector. A lot of it is speculation and punting, but I hope you don't approach that in the same way.
No, no. I'm obviously a lot more diligent when it comes to the share market. I'm happy to have a complete lash on the races, but not
Mm.
the share market. I don't like losing money in the share market.
Um, it's it's the big day in the US. I want to touch on it just because it's in the news, obviously, and obviously as of now that we're recording, there's still the votes in the US. They haven't even started counting them. But do you pay any attention to that? And do you think any particular outcome is going to affect the way you view your analysis on the small cap sector?
Well, it's interesting in the sense of how uninteresting it's been because the a lot of the commentators, even myself, thought earlier in the year, look, the market's probably fine, but as we get closer to that US election, it's going to get more volatile, it's going to get more unpredictable. But realistically, the market is actually quite tame. It's kind of boring. Uh, it's just sort of drifting along. So I can only assume that I feel that the market is completely braced for something. So there's not much happening,
Right.
but I can only assume we if some result comes out of nowhere that it will throw things around. Otherwise, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. At the moment, it doesn't seem to have affected anything.
But you're kind of zeroing. So you talk today. You're zeroing on kind of what you call small resurrections in the small cap sector, right? So I take it that's when shares look like they've taken a big tumble. You see an opportunity there, and you catch the comeback, and you actually highlight a company called Lifestyle Communities as a case in point. Do you just want to give people a bit of an explanation of that story and why you chose that one, and then maybe we can touch on if there are any other sectors or types of companies that you see as having similar turnaround potential in this market.
Well, the whole dynamic of the market since last year is a resurrection. I mean, you go back to last year, it was a terrible market. It was down in the dumps. Nobody was interested. Suddenly, the big stocks have resurrected. They've all come back. They're flying. The big banks are hammering up. So that part of the market has resurrected. What I'm saying is the small cap sector is behind. It's going to resurrect. And there was a guy actually said the other day, people have forgotten what a small cap bull market looks like. And it's true. It has not been like it was when things were flying. Um, I think those days are coming back. Last week we gave the example of Nuix, which has been the biggest resurrection in Australia for a long time. So that one's up 600%
That's still
since
going.
last year. Yeah, still there. Um, but there are so many more cases like that. Now, LIC is one that was also really dragged down over the last 12 months or so. But again, fundamentally, it was a combination of three things that sort of, I called it the triple buck takedown. It just sort of like three punches took it down and put it on the canvas, as you would say, was as a boxer. But there's actually, if you follow these companies and you see the dynamic at play, you can step in and go the other way. This is when you get a look at the best value. So if you want to try and make a return like 100, 200%, the market is not going to hand it to you on a platter. So you have to do something that is different from everybody else. So one way to do that is to find something that is completely hammered and buy it on the expectation, or if you've identified a catalyst, to turn it around again. The prime example right now is gold stocks. I mean, a year ago, nobody cared about them, and now they're flying up like crazy. So this is an opportunity to do that again. And in fact, they keep presenting all the time because things crash and fly up all the time. So LIC is not a wild speculation. It's quite a conservative business, and it's one I told my guys just to sort of accumulate over time, but don't
Yeah.
expect a new X like return from it in the short term. But there are stocks out there that could do that. And so I released a report recently that tabled 3 ideas on that. So absolutely, there's just, I mean, again, everyone talks about the US election, but realistically, does it matter? I don't know. The market doesn't seem to care right now. You're much better off finding actual stocks that have something in front of them, exciting in front of them. It's much more likely to make you money than some obscure thing. Oh, yes, Trump gets in, Kamala's. Well, who knows how that plays out?
Fair enough. You actually draw an interesting contrast between US big tech's double-digit growth and Westpac's 0% revenue growth. Sort of quite stark. How do you see that divergence influencing investment flows in the Australian market?
Yes, well, I mean, again, this is the key thing. In the US, you can just buy the big stocks and they keep delivering. They are amazing businesses. They just keep driving the market higher. That is not going to happen in Australia because ours are not amazing businesses. They're 4 big, crusty old banks that do the same thing every year. They don't have the revenue growth. They don't have the big addressable market like Google and that type of thing. They are now extremely heavily priced for where they're at. It's extremely unlikely that Commonwealth Bank is going to keep going up. They now have very low dividend yields relative to their history. So that means for any fund manager or any super fund that needs to generate a return, they're going to have to go somewhere else. They cannot stay in the big stocks forever. So that more capital, and I'm not the only one saying this, a lot of the industry is looking for this. A lot of that capital is going to come down because the small caps and the mid caps are cheaper and have higher growth. So that's what you want in the share market.
And that's a wall of money coming into the sector, right? You mentioned a guy called David D. Pillar and HMC Capital's investment signals that they're signaling smart money moving into the small cap space, which kind of supports what you're just saying. But what other indicators are you seeing that suggest institutional investors might be rotating into the smaller cap stocks?
Well, I mean, the very reason we know about that is because he appeared on the register, right? Once they take a certain percentage, they have to show it. So they're popping up all over the place. I mean, I could rattle off a few examples, but I don't think they really have a choice. As I say, it's very difficult to generate a return from there's another gent who's named Dion Hershen at Yarra Capital who calls Australia's top 7 the mundane 7 as opposed to the magnificent 7. So it's just Australia. And again, a lot of people, the big supermarkets, they're coming under pressure because of their pricing.
The mundane,
the big miners,
brilliant.
The big miners is a bit of a yes, no. They make good cash flow, but is anyone getting seriously pumped about China right now? Not really. So if you want capital growth, you're going to have to look outside that top 50. But we can only go by the investment flows. But as I alluded to with LIC, that's just an example. I mean, we've seen quite a few takeovers in the small cap sector as well, right? So there's value there. It's just how long it takes to be realized.
Because I always thought institutional investors, they've got too much money to deploy. That would move small cap stocks too much. That's what I always thought.
Yeah, so I mean, it depends. The really little ones, yeah. But I mean, we've got a fairly broad canvas. I mean, with what I do, so the $1 billion ones, and don't forget they can outsource part of their. So yes, they have huge swells of money, but they will give some to a small cap fund manager type of thing as a strategy within that overall asset structure.
I don't know if you saw the conversation I had with Nick Hubble on Friday, but we were talking about the demographic changes and how that affects the share market. And you do touch on demographic trends, specifically with the LIC example that you mentioned. How important are these longer term structural trends, do you think, in your analysis of small cap opportunities, or do you not consider them?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So the reason, when I took a look at LIC, now when you get a big stock go through a big downtrend like that, you can buy it and then go, then watch it keep going all the way and go, oh geez, it just went broke. So you've got to be very careful. It's called catching a falling knife. But the reason I was happy to go the other way on that one, and it's working for the moment, not to say it's going to continue to work, and there's always risks around it, but it's an asset-backed business, so it sells houses in retirement communities. So there's a lot of land there, housing. The demand for those is not going away. There's always demand for that, of course.
Mm.
Then their client base is people over 50. And the demographics of Australia are refutable. There are going to be more people over 50 by 2030 than there is now. And the baby boomers are aging, and within 4 years, they'll all be over 65. The average age of a homeowner in LIC stuff is 74. So their entire demographic is just structurally there for them. And you look at the other industry indicators, Stockland, Mirvac, all these guys are pushing into this same sector. So it seemed to me a reasonable speculation to go, well, this might be a bit of a disaster right now, but every indication is either they'll turn around the business or someone will come and take it away from them and buy it out. And so that's why the David DePilla move is so interesting, because he basically said that his associate said the same thing. It's like, look, they're having a bit of a tough time, but these demographic changes, they're not going away, and there's value here basically. So we're going to step in and take a bite, and we'll see what happens. Maybe they buy more or take it over, or shake up the board, or who knows what happens. So so with a business like LIC, demographics is important. With other ones, it's less definitive, and it's a bit of a yes no, maybe depends kind of situation.
Cool. Well, whenever I need cheering up, Cal, I just come and jump on camera with you, and I get a big smile on my face. So thanks for that. Very bullish on small cap stocks, but that's why you're in the sector, right? You're always looking, and you're always on the hunt for them.
True, but I mean, let me add this: that when things were rough in 22, I pulled in the reins, and
no, you did.
It's not just
it's not all rainbows and lollipops.
No, but you've got to go when things are. If I've learned anything, you've got it when things are ripe to go for it. You've got to go for it, because it won't always be like that, and there'll be a time, and in a few years, we'll go. Well, you either were a part of it or you missed it. So we'll see what happens.
Cool. All right, we'll leave it there. If you want some more ideas on how Callum, some ideas on where Callum is looking, he's got a report out. It's called Resurgence 2025. It's really compelling. Check it out. I'll provide it in the link below, and you can check out Callum's article today on Fat Tail Daily as well. Cheers, buddy.
Thank you,
Have
buddy.
a great day today, and I'll see you next week.